Hello, programmers! This is my first video of the new year. I wanted to create a video on basics Linux and Unix commands because one of the classes I'm teaching next semester has two goals. One is teaching C programming and the other one is learning to use the Linux environment. So Linux and Unix are used a lot in industry, and so that's why we want our students to get familiar with them in one of our courses. The first command you're going to want to use is a command ls, and I'm typing this command instead of having a graphical user interface or something fancy. We're doing everything on command line because that's the hard thing for students to get used to learning. So ls is short for list, and it'll list out the files in the current working directory. And for me, I have what looks like 5 files, and we'll find out some of them are actually folders instead of files. So notice that this $ reappeared. That's my prompt. Your prompt may look different than mine. It may have your login ID, the host name. You can alter this, and a lot of times I show students how to alter it to show the folders that they're in the current working directory. But let me show you how to find out help on any Linux or Unix command, and that's with the man, which is short for manual, the man command. So you do man followed by the command you want to know more about. So man followed by ls, and we find out, yep, I was right. It does list the directory contents, and directory is another word for folder in the Linux world. And then in these square brackets, these are all optional input arguments that you don't have to, but you can pass one or more of these into your Linux command. So for instance, I'm going to show you what a -l would do. And if we hit space, we're going to see all the alphabet letters you could possibly pass and what they'll do, more than you'd ever want to know about the ls command. But what I'm going to show you first is ls with a -l is going to list the long format. So what does the long format look like, ls-l? I see not only the name of these files and directories, but more information about them, like the date that they were last modified. So some of these were modified December 30th, and then a couple of them I created today, January 2nd. And then this is the number of bytes that are in that. So it bytes in the file, and the creator of the file, and there's a group associated with every person on the Linux or Unix environment, and I'm in the staff group. And then we've got all these letters or dashes. The first 3 have to do, well, the very first one is D for directory. That's like what's a folder and what's not a folder. And then the ones with the dashes just mean they're files. And then we can look at these 3 characters at a time. These are the permissions on the file or the directory. And R is read access, W is write access, and the dash means you don't have that access, but X would be execute. You can like run a program. The first 3 characters are your permissions on the file. The next 3 are other people that are in your same group. And then the last 3 are the rest of the users on this environment. So that's more than you wanted to know about the ls command. There's one other option I wanted to show is an ls with a -a will show files that start with a period. And I made a file called secret file that starts with a period. You'll find in your home directory, there'll be configuration files like .bash and .emacs and stuff that's where you would put information you want to run every time you log in. The period stands for where you are right now, the current working directory. And then period means going back one level. So let me show the next Linux command. That's going to be cd. So we can do man on cd and find out information about that. And there's so much information about that, about changing directories. But I'm going to just, to get out of those help commands when you do help, there's so many pages, you'll have to hit space to go to the next page, and then you can just quit out of them with Q. Okay, so what does CD do? CD could change into either of the 2 folders. So I had 2 folders I can see because there's a D at the beginning of these. There's the quiz folder and the homework folder. Let me go into homework and CD, and there's nothing there. There's nothing in that folder yet. If I want to create a new file, I'll use another command in editor. Nano is probably the simplest editor, and it's already installed on Linux and Unix environments for the most part. And I want to create a new file called homework1.c. Okay, so let's say my very first day of class, they tell me what my homework assignment is, and I'm just starting out with a comment saying, here's my name, and then I'll fill in the code later. At the bottom of the Nano editor, there are some shortcuts of how to exit and do other things. Like I'm going to hold down control. That caret there means control. Control X would exit out of there, and it's asking, do I want to save my modified buffer? Yes, I want to save all my changes. I'll keep the name homework1.c, and then I'm out of the editor. If I list the contents of the directory, now I see that file that I just created. The next Linux command, so we've got cat, we're going to learn cat next. We've got ls, we've got man, we've got cd for change directory. Nano is an editor, so now I'm going to do cat for concatenate, and that will show the contents of a file. And we see the contents is just my comment with your name inside of it. Now, how do I go back to that other folder that had the file 1, file 2, file 3? Well, now we're going to do cd for change directory, but we'll use the shortcut period, which goes back one level, and now we're back to where we started. So anytime we want to change into a directory, cd, and then we can go into homework, and then go back one level. So being able to move around in the Linux environment is important, and we can create new files anytime we want to. And that's probably a good starting point for day one of working with the Linux environment. Have a great day.